Hi, welcome to the Human Variable, episode 2, season 1. We are here today with our normal host, John and Marius, and today we're bringing on a new guest, CJ, and today what we're going to be talking about is how has AI changed your job? And we're going to talk about some of the clients and different projects that we're addressing today and some of the impacts that they've seen in the industry.
Great, looking forward to that episode.
Cool. All right. So, CJ, since you're new, give us a quick little introduction about yourself, and we could also quickly introduce ourselves as well and what we do.
Yeah, hey, I'm CJ. I've been in the creative marketing space for about 10 years now. I've worked with different agencies and brands to build up their creative marketing. That means video ads, photo ads, all for Facebook, Google, Instagram, all across the different platforms, YouTube, and just help build out tons of assets for them to use and push growth to the company.
Cool. Marius?
Yes, I'm Marius. I'm a software engineer by trade. I run an AI agency. We help companies implement AI into their daily workflows, ranges from smaller projects like invoice automations to reimagining full Excel sheets of 1.8 million cells. I personally love AI because you can now, instead of just as a coder, before you had a yes/no decision, now you can actually replicate human behavior through code. And this is, for me personally and for my business, an amazing thing to do daily.
Yeah,
Thank you, to you, John.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you guys for being here. As Steve mentioned, we have CJ here with us, which is super interesting. He's just getting started with artificial intelligence. And before the podcast, we were kind of like discussing a little bit of our experiences. And just to give a little bit of background here, I'm based in Mexico, and just as Marius, I did started an AI automation agency about 1.5 years ago. I don't know how to code. I'm not a developer. I was pretty much in sales, but through AI, I've been able to start working with governmental institutions into developing some sort of technologies. I'm specialized on the development of sales processes and automation of sales processes, from literally recording the calls and using some softwares to automate some of that stuff that was usually used for larger enterprises before, sending around like 75,000 emails per week out, and have that entire process automated to kind of like increase your sales. I'm also on the marketing side. Definitely, I think design is going to be part of the future. It's going to be super important, because something I've learned is that as humans we have the ability to kind of like transfer knowledge from one side, meaning like, for example, and I think of you, CJ, like you build like websites, so there's certain logic behind that, and that way you kind of like understand the way of the client, the ways of the client, like the way they think, and that's definitely something you can actually translate into building AI systems, and potentially making it even better than some of the people that are full technical, because definitely the barriers with AI are just been taken away from us, and I guess the future where we're headed, the way I see it, it's a future where we're all kind of like creators, just kind of like scientifics in some way, like having access, as Marius like to say, like we have this little genie growing amongst us, which is literally the entire human knowledge that's out there, which is super insane. So yeah, I guess the main reason of this podcast is kind of like, more than just a podcast, it's kind of like have a record of how we're going through these evolution, because that's what's happening I do consider even our brains are adapting to a different way of thinking, of absorbing information. So yeah, thank you for being here, and you're super welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of the points that John had mentioned certainly resonate. Our brains are certainly changing, and a lot of the industries are certainly changing. And when I met John and Marius, a lot of the work that they're echoing has it's in steps I've taken over the past. So my background, it's in I'm an industrial engineer. I spent about 6-7 years in factory automation, helping factories become more efficient. Then I moved on to the startup and software world, where I built software tools for a lot of emerging industries like online video, beginning to help payment distribution and a multitude of different applications, from drones to fintech to industrial applications with software. And now I've, like Marius and Jonathan, also started my own AI agency, but it's one that's really full turnkey, that you could launch a hardware, software, or AI product, because I've done all those over the years. And also partnering with folks like CJ is bring out the marketing aspect as well. So it's a really almost like a startup in a box or a product launch in a box, and doesn't necessarily matter if it's hardware, AI, or software. But it's after you launch it, let's make it look good. Let's tell that story so people adopt your product. That's where I think things are really, really moving. And that's where having folks on the team like CJ is really, really helpful. And also folks like Jonathan, where it's going in and launching that product and understanding how to sell it and how to track that stuff and how to do the follow-ups, building that funnel. And then of course, Marius, he's here to kind of go and implement and build those tools quickly at a very low cost compared to something that would be a custom solution before. And there's huge advantage by doing that this way, because now you could really, really build and design an iterative approach, even with using a third-party company and using a partner. And it's going to be a lot more scalable to do it this way, because you don't have to onboard a whole team of folks to do it. You could just you could outsource it, grab that stuff when you grab that design when you need it, and move on from there. So yeah, so this is kind of a perfect little segue. Why don't we just start with you, Marius? Why don't you tell us about one of the projects that you're working on and the impact that a client's had, how you came about them, and when they're looking at traditional approaches, what did things look like?
Yes. So one project I would like to bring up is a project we called the IBM configurator. One thing you will know about developers real quick is that they're really bad at naming things, but this is where people like John come in and help us to actually make the product sound more sexy. But let me explain a little bit about the as-is state. It's a company which has been running for 40 years and probably will be running for the next 20 years. But they all face the same issue. It's very manual work. They themselves actually sell a highly complex hardware systems, but themselves in their company are working on writing their proposals by hand, which is to me like, okay, how can you be perceived by highly sufficient and complex from the outside, but inside you are doing all your standard operating procedures just manually like 40 years ago. And we help them take their very manual proposal creation process, which is just at the end of the day all pure logic. With hardware compared to software, it's way easier because there's a certain product you can sell with a certain configurations, let's say for example 8 RAM or 16 gigs of RAM, and then it just comes more like understanding the client and then configuring it into the perfect dream scenario of the client. And we're taking this very manual and paper process and used AI from the whole client journey. So it's not just that we in our agency use AI to develop it. Even in the discussions with the client, we use those transcripts we are generating to do requirements gathering. So this is outside of the project itself right now. What I'm trying to say here is that AI helps you as an agency from start to finish. We took those requirements gathered by AI, and now we had like a scope of work which we can present to the client in a matter of minutes. Now,
I mean, that's
uh,
oh, yeah. I was like, yeah, that's definitely
Yeah.
amazing. I mean, like kind of like some of the things that you're talking about, especially with these complex sales. I know that process. Like one of the things that you're talking about is generating that bill of materials, right? So back in the factory automation days, when I was working there, every single factory has a different application, right? So you walk into an oil refinery, you walk into a water wastewater plant, you walk into a food and beverage factory. One may have a robot and it has a safety system on that, but in a certain way that they're still applications are still similar. You may be locking and tagging something out, meaning that you're protecting a person from the equipment once they enter in. If it's like a high voltage thing, whether it's on oil and gas, or it's on a linear accelerator like at Stanford, where it's like a particle collider. When you go into a certain area, you may, when you want to go work on some equipment, you may have a lockout tagout procedure, where it's like click it and you put a lock on it. And there might be some mechanical protection. But in order to figure out what that company needs, as a sales engineer, you're highly technical engineer, but you may go down a rabbit hole where it's like a particular piece because there's 300,000 different products that the company sells. So you're probably not going to know all of them. And from there, if it's a particular application, you bring in a solution architect, and then they may have to bring in another specialist. So now gathering the requirements gets more complicated. You have your notes, you're kind of feeding them up, you're writing them down as you're walking through, talking to the person, looking at equipment, and then you're trying to bring in somebody else and they're gathering it. So now are 4 or 5 different things. You gather your notes, you have to go back and forth, talk to a distributor, and the distributor's going to now and put the quote together. You got to go 4 or 5 times to make sure you gathered everything correctly. And now you have a price, right? And some of those things you may have to do a lot of calculations. For example, you're going to figure out what the maximum amperage, maximum voltage is, what your peak voltage is. You're going to have to ask them what your operating temperature is, what is your standard operating temperature, what's your peak, what is your UL ratings. There's so many different things and different parameters that can go into it on each little thing, and you have to go and calculate it in. And you will sometimes have these giant Excel sheets with these macros and different things that you build to do this, or you'll have your own software if you're some of the larger companies that does it, and that works great for products you've built. But when you release a new product, sometimes you have to still do it with Excel. And now with AI, you can just go and do these things quickly. But sometimes those things are overlooked, and that small little oversight can cause some problems. I'll say the least.
100%. Funny you
No,
mentioned.
sorry, you go ahead, Marius.
Funny mention that Excel sheet. That's also a huge topic we're seeing again and again. Is that their Excel sheets, on the other hand, do a certain job, right? But they also have so much knowledge ingrained. Those formulas, those tables, the labels, the ways of calculating stuff, and they all work together. So AI is also not just an actor, but it can help you and help your company take all this ingrained knowledge in those Excel workbooks or whatever tool you're using and document it and help future generations to also use it. And this is like a huge problem we are seeing over and over again, that when companies who have the knowledge and their employees are missing, companies are just stuck with it. So building on top of what Steve said, this is something we're seeing a lot, that AI helps take all that very scattered knowledge and puts it together into a document for other people to learn.
Yeah, and definitely, I think this is where a lot of folks, I think, struggle with AI. They're thinking, okay, yeah, if I just ask AI, what's going to be the correct voltage on this? How the VFD is going to do? It's going to automatically give you the answer. It's like, no. No, not at all. Not at all. But where it can help you is when you're using AI to build your automations, right? So, and those automations are still deterministic. Those are still going to work with exact formulas, right? It's like some of the things that you put together for your water wastewater thing is actually going to help you extract all the mathematical formulas that you have. And then you're going to use that and a coding agent to go hard code those into a tool. What AI is good at is taking large sets of information, being able to read through it for you so you don't have to do it, surface those things up to you out of the exact document, and present them. And I think the other thing that folks really struggle with is their perception of AI is just using GPT. It's like ask GPT. Well, you could have AI work very differently to where it's an AI and it's only reading that piece of document. It's not going off of the web or other different things. Now it's instructed to just grab things out of a certain bucket and hand it to you. So I think, and then you could just talk to it and it grabs it from that bucket. I think that's probably a very different way to use it. And maybe Marius, you could maybe talk a little bit more about that as well. It'd be kind of interesting for folks to hear.
Yeah, I mean, without becoming too technical here, right? Like you said, there's ChatGPT. This is an interface how you communicate with Chat, and it gives you text back. We as developers, we use something which is called an API. This is just a technical way of communicating with it. And building on top of your analogy, it is similar, yes. By every time you call an API, it's a little bit like you hire an outsourced person to do a job for you, and you get an outcome back. But similar to that, if you just go to Chris right now and I tell him like, hey, do a video for me. Can you do a video for me? No, you can't. You need context. You need to figure out the requirements. You're going to ask me questions, blah, 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 blah. So this is also where the perception of AI needs to change a little bit. Like, it is not just a magic tool with a magic wand that when you ask a question, it's going to do stuff. Similar to when we work with outsourced freelancers, professionals like Chris, we need to give it the context. We need to give it a desired outcome. We need to give it help a little bit with the steps, figure out what needs to be done. And this is, I think, a perception we will learn over time to use more as a advantage in our daily lives.
Yeah, and I guess I'm a little curious, especially with you, CJ. Now that you hear all this, like conversations where it's probably very technical for you. But where do you see yourself like fitting into this new way of like doing stuff? It's an entire new industry, but you're definitely one of the first that are getting on board. And I say the first because we're talking of millions and millions of people that are not adopting AI as they should. But yeah, I kind of like wanted to hear like what is it that you're doing, like what's that stuff that you're already built with AI.
Yeah, so I haven't done much, and I'm really curious of what will be possible, because I feel like in my realm of creating videos and photos and things like that, there are tools with AI, but there's not really anything that's very specific that can give you the outcomes that are desirable. So it can create really fantastical, like creative things, but if I'm working with a brand and we need to create a product video for, this one product, I'm not sure how AI can do anything with that. Maybe I can, I'll still have to take photos of that product and then upload them to a platform or something like that. So right now I only see it as useful for managing tasks. I've used it a lot for developing contracts, developing, like different documents and things like that. But as for the creative process, I'm not sure what's quite possible, and I haven't seen AI do what I know it will be capable of at some point.
What about on the ideation side of things? Like, let's say if you're just trying to like freeball a few concepts of things, let's say it's like, hey, I want something that looks like this or like that. Here's like 5 different variations of it, of things that might be similar. Like kind of what's the direction you want to lean in. I don't know. That'd be like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I really haven't found a reason to try to go down that route. Now that I think about it, like the best thing that it's been used for is I'll get images and I need to expand them out further. And in the generative AI element, it really helps me create those like different cropped images, because I make things for like Facebook, Instagram, and they're, you know, different ratio sizes, and that's helped me a lot.
Yeah, I guess on that right there would be like directly in workflow side, just to kind of get an idea, like what, like typically how long would it take you to take one and create it to one size manually versus using AI? And I guess what it comes down to is like how much of the AI stuff do you have to go back and finesse and correct, because that'd kind of be your true number there, right? It's generated with correction versus manually generated.
Yeah, I mean, I've spent hours, you know, using the like stamp tool and things like that to or clone tool to, you know, clone this section and expand it out further, which can be really time consuming. But now it's been really incredible where I don't even have to finesse it most of the time. Like probably 90% of the time I don't need to finesse it. But if it includes like somebody's arm or something a little bit more specific than just a background, then I will need to, but it makes the process so much faster.
Yeah,
And Chris,
definitely. And I guess, sorry, go ahead, Marius.
Yeah. There's one question I always like to ask, like a professional like you, especially for somebody who has never done very little video editing. And you just mentioned that there's still in your niche a lot of smoke and mirrors with AI. There, like a lot of promises, right? A lot of like things out there, and I've been using those AI generation tools as for like images as well. And there's Sora, which was promised 2 million years ago and it's still not there. But this is a little bit of an open-ended question, but I would love to hear, and potentially our viewers, like, what is this AI tool in your dream scenario, which you're currently imagining you would love having for your business, really in the creative side?
I know exactly what it would be. So right now I'm building out about 50 ads for an apparel brand, right? They're gonna run during Black Friday sale. So they have, you know, let's say 10 different products. They have this hoodie, this t-shirt, these pants, and they have all these folders with their assets. So I'd love to just take all their assets and say, create 10 ads for the t-shirt, the sweatshirt, and this, with this information that's 25% off. It's running through these days, whatever. Same with video. Take the clips, say, create a video with this. And I know that there are apps that can do that out there, but I have not seen anything that's professional quality. And the outcomes, you know, yeah.
No. What would it take to build something like that, Marius? I think that's probably something that we could probably spin up with, like kicking one thing to another.
Something like this. I would need, like, on the token side, I would need to know like how heavy those videos are, because you're gonna burn through some tokens real fast. But the idea of like recycling previous videos and then making a new version of it, I'm pretty sure that where Stable Diffusion generating art images with AI is getting, it's like building a rough prototype could be done in less than 100 hours with those tools, which I'm using to spin up those websites, the functions.
Cool.
But then, for example, like one thing which is very important always is that, yes, you can build it all out, but an AI has like so much, like the whole information of the human race into it, right? At the end of the day, you still need someone like you who then kind of fine tunes that AI to really have the knowledge of what's good and what isn't good. Because for AI, he just looks at something, I just spelled it out, I'm done with it. But it needs your eye to really make it good.
Yeah, because this could be. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's like this could be something like, you know, this is where like really the multifaceted stuff comes in, of like products that, you know, as a collective we could offer, right? So that's where like CJ could be like the industry expert. So let's say we develop this tool, that'd be a perfect tool to sell to agencies. as a markup, right? So like we could have a platform on that. It's like an automation thing, and we custom build it for theirs. We bring in CJ, that's like like he helps gather the requirements. I kind of lean in from like understanding application, and then we go and do that turnkey. And then that's a little bit of a markup, but still, like, even if it cost them $10,000 or $20,000, if they're doing this consistently, and they have like 100 employees, this is like going to be so cheap for them, like ridiculously cheap. It's like a no-brainer, depending on the scale of the company, because the amount of money that it could save them and the number of like different iterations that they could present to potential clients is huge. So like there's tremendous value in some of these type of things, where it's where like I think the new way to look at it is, let's say if CJ is like, oh, here's an AI tool that I developed, or let's say here's a tool we use to make our work faster. How can we go and market and sell it to somebody else? Because it's going to have huge implications once the number of employees go up.
Yeah, and anywhere that I've worked at, especially during like holiday season, we do build outs of a few like 100 ads, and this takes a long time. And one thing that's really cool is if you've ever edited 360 video, it gives you the option to do it in horizontal format or vertical format, and automatically crops it essentially like how you want it. And so it's really easy to export both of them. And so that would be a really helpful tool if it could create the image, and then you could just ask it to do the different sizes, and boom, done.
Yeah, and I was also thinking, even just because there's so many steps that just drive me crazy in the video editing, because I'm just like so crummy at it, just I'm learning it. But it's like I think there's one issue where it was stabilizing some footage where somebody had recorded it, but he recorded it wearing this bodysuit thing. But the motion of it was like, me being an engineer, it just had a rock that was like this. And I was like, and it was a 11-second clip, and he's walking from here to here, and it rocks back 9 times. And if you're to kind of replicate that, I was like, okay, I understand that it's going to be moving on a very consistent curve, right? Because it's got your center of gravity is here, and the camera's mounted to here. And when he's walking, it's causing the same thing. So it's a pendulum. So you could take like the curvature of the circle, the top Y point, the other Y point, your X points, and you'll know exactly what the curve is. And now you could go and create a formula that could just go and reframe it. And that could be a plugin that you can go and just stick in Premiere, and you can just kind of do it with Excel, and it should stabilize it. Like, I understand mathematically how to do that, but to like code and make that plugin would probably be really arduous. But like now with GPT Engineer, for example, you could probably describe that, and that big code that would needed for sorting out just doing a small curve can be done, because we just knock out 70 lines of code in one fucking sentence. So yeah, pretty excited about some of those type of things and how they could actually be leveraged in video, because programs like Premiere, you can make your own plugins and do these little things. And I think that could be a whole nother world. And there's people selling these plugins for like $100 to fix one little issue. And it's just like sort your bins. And I've like gotten so frustrated where I want to throw my computer through a wall. I've bought these plugins with not such great success.
Mm-hmm.
But this is like a very important mindset shift in us being professionals, I think. Like right now, always when we had an issue, like we were Googling and trying to find a plugin, trying to do this, trying to do that. Right now I have another partner I worked with in the past, and he had to create LinkedIn videos, for example, do like an automation and post every day. Usually, right, you look for a SaaS to do this, SaaS there, hire maybe like an Upwork person to do this for you. But now, in a matter of like half a day, actually with the same app, GPT Engineer, he just connected a transcription tool to like a little bit of context of what his company's doing. And now he presses a button, speaks it in, and an hour later he has LinkedIn posts he can publish in a second. So what I'm trying to get at here is that right now, when you have a problem, don't feel discouraged anymore to look for it. If you don't find it, give up. No, right now everybody can be a builder. Yes, if there's a complex software, you still need to gathering the requirements, figure stuff out, communicate with other people. But you yourself, with AI, can build up your little tool belt of tools you can just stack on there and fix stuff, and don't rely on any other people anymore. And I just love the fact that about the AI.
So for
Yeah, I
that
think
post,
that's
for that post that you're talking about, were those full text posts?
Yes, he's actually now just also implemented another API is ideogram. So he speaks in his idea while walking to the grocery shop, and it's an experience he made today that transcribes it into text. There has a little bit of like a document about what to say, what not to say. We still want to personalize it, right? It should just be like whatever ChatGPT, I hope this finds you well kind of post. And then he uses ideogram to create a little bit of a brand image based on his brand style. And then he gets it, reviews it, and posts it up. And he's non-technical. So
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's a good thing. Like now you can add capabilities to Premiere or to any of these apps that you use. Eventually, like it's like people like, oh, I want a filter that does this. I want this type of screen that does this. And we'll probably begin to the point where all those plugins, all those filters, you just be able to text to create it. And there might be a guide that helps, because I think right now still the challenge is breaking down each subcomponent and understanding where it goes. But there might be a tool that kind of helps folks break that down and asks the user the right questions in order to help them build that plugin. So there could even be a tool that's a plugin builder guide, etc. Something like that gets released. It's going to really turn a lot of things on its head. But cool. Let's just look at the time. Let's jump on to Jonathan. Thank you, CJ. That was super insightful on the video side. Really excited to see some of the things that kind of come out from there, and maybe even build some cool little video tools as we go along. And we try to address some of the customer projects. We might as well address them with a lot less of your hours. And then we have some tools that we can sell to other people making videos.
Yeah, and I guess something I just kind of like wanted to add there, and I guess this is just to kind of like share a little bit of knowledge to you, CJ, of what I've done with AI. Obviously on the creative side, well, you know how to use it. You already mentioned that. But something that I did and that I keep on doing for my clients, it's I use it to kind of like create some psychological strategies on my ads. What I mean, obviously I'm looking to use different strategies. We can go from FOMO to literally something else that's called, I forgot what it's called, it's like fear of being left behind, you know?
Okay.
And that's what I'm using right now with my clients. Especially what I try to do, it's I focus on understanding the ICP, but like actually understanding the ICP, you know, kind of like I had these clients that I literally helped them increase their sales 2,000%, literally taking them from like almost bankruptcy to like, you know, just getting a lot of money in like 4 months. So basically what we did with them, we sat down and we went over the entire marketing materials, what they were doing, their website and everything. And then they kept on adding like promotions on top of different promotions, you know, like, and taking the price lower. So what we did, they wanted to sell to high ticket, you know, people.
Yeah.
And so what we did, we changed the entire brand. We took them from like 3 colors to 2 colors, black and white. Obviously, we know those colors are really good for high-end services. What we did, we created an AI avatar. And I'm talking about, this happened like 9 months ago, so it's been a while now. So we created an AI avatar for them, and you know, got some clothes and stuff from their branding and different stuff. And so we did that, and basically, and I guess this is super important to mention. It's not all about AI. It's design thinking. Coming back to what I said, it's literally understanding the psychology behind what we're doing, And yeah, I guess that's definitely something maybe we can later hop in a call, because I'm super interested on understanding how you work, and see like what other stuff we can definitely share on the stuff I've done that could probably fit into your the way you do your services and whatever. Something else that we're looking into doing with some of our clients, especially with clients that I'm looking to work with Marius. It's literally coming up with this entire solution, which is building the entire market, the entire automation, but then coming with entire market fit, and market development and marketing and sales strategies and outreach strategies, and basically what we're looking to do, it's kind of like allow companies to scale, and expand services to other places. And yeah, that's just something I kind of like wanted to add before we
Yeah, that'd
finish.
be amazing. I'd love to learn more about that and see if some of those things could be applied to what I'm doing. When you say that you created an avatar, what exactly does that mean?
It's literally in like with AI, Midjourney, and some magnific AI. I just came up with a woman which was like 45 to 55 years old, which is actually the ICP of my client. So I kind of like create an entire thing that it's relatable to the client. And so what I did, yep.
So you mean like persona, I guess, would be a kind of like a
Yeah.
for ICP. I think persona is like probably, I guess, a more common thing that maybe US based. So what is ICP? I guess Jonathan stand for. I think we've spoke about it.
Yeah, so it's just woman. It's a lot of woman. It's
No. What does ICP, the acronym, stand for? I guess just for the viewers.
ICP. Okay, yeah, that's then for ideal customer profile. Usually
Yeah,
what I like to do, I like to get at least 3 or 4 different customer profiles, and then iterate on each of them and create at least 2 or 3 different strategies for the 4 profiles. And then I create different funnels with different colors, with different CTAs or call to actions. And then we call that A/B testing. And once we start testing that, we start replicating that process into different strategies, from marketing strategies to Meta ads or Google ads. We also go over SEO and what is this other one called, Mario, that's for generative AI search thing. I was just no. So like what they're doing is like it's just very similar to SEO, but it's pretty much teaching the internet or AIs about your product, because it's unstructured data, and AIs usually work with structured data. And so what you have to do is kind of like build a CSS and CMS and specific stuff for you to make sure you're not falling behind in the next wave, because we know people are not using Google as much. They're now using ChatGPT for it. I literally use ChatGPT the entire day. I'm talking to ChatGPT all day for very stupid stuff, So, yeah. So I mean, like the entire marketing
feels like Stone Age.
Yeah. No, what I want to say is just like I guess this entire marketing and sales thing, it's evolving very fast. And I think like there's not a lot of people talking about this, like the magic that we are creating. And I'm telling you, like right now I'm sending 75,000 emails per week with my clients and stuff.
Yeah.
But in the past that was just impossible, It's just impossible to build it on your own. So
yeah, I'm curious if you can ask ChatGPT to sort of come up with an ad referencing other ads that have like a high ROI or anything like that. They perform really well.
Yeah, totally. Actually, I have some automations I built myself. I told you I'm not that technical, but I got some automations in make.com. And basically what I did some research on X or Twitter, for specific tweets that were like super viral. And so I kind of like got all that together, put it into AI, and I'm like, please analyze this. Something I do a lot, and I put this in my prompts. It's kind of like go over with sentiment analysis. This is my ICP. Please just identify the structure of this tweet and identify what are some of the areas that are correlated with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the automation, all I do is just type in my link into the Slack channel, and then it will send it through there, and then it would just write it down for me just the same way that these viral tweets were posted, and then that way you can like copy that structure. So yeah, there's definitely ways. Marius like to say it's your imagination. Like if you can imagine it, you can probably build it, and if not, in a couple of weeks you might be able to build it.
That's awesome.
Hey, John, I think you're actually touching on some of the points that we had questioned, like basically like what the folks were, everyone else is kind of talking about. So I guess maybe it's just kind of back up one step, jump into some of the details of some of your stuff. So maybe just share a little bit of, maybe just share what one of your clients does and one of the projects you've done for your clients. And I think a lot of the information that you're talking about fills in those gaps. Like I guess ICPs, I guess a lot of times are commonly just we call those just personas, but yeah, ICP just define some of the acronyms because different folks may be ICPs. A lot of times sometimes like pop culture, we think it's the insane clown posse, but but
yeah. Yeah, no, I guess something and I want to mention this before I respond to your questions here. I feel like what's happening right now is like we're becoming multidisciplinary individuals, where we have to kind of like understand the entire thing of a company. We know that we could potentially get into that point where CJ is going there. Marius knows it's possible. Obviously, you Steve as well. That we can have an entire company very soon, running with just you driving it. So I guess that's super exciting. But just to kind of like go back with this client, I was talking to you guys. They were literally about to go to bankruptcy. This is the reality. They were just about to go bankruptcy.
Yeah, so share what the company was, what they do, and then details. Yeah.
Yeah. So they do all these like beauty treatments, like injections, and for like nose, lips, microblading, that kind of stuff. And actually, they were kind of like my not
so like plastic surgery or like Botox, stuff like that.
Yeah, like Botox, that kind of stuff, like feelings and stuff. So yeah, that's what they did, and that's what I said. Like I sat down with them, and I'm like, okay, your marketing sucks. Like your logo looks like from the 2000s. It's terrible. What we did, obviously, once I knew what the target audience was, or the ICP, the ideal customer profile, I was like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna change the colors. I use AI for all of this, right? I'm like, okay, this is my end goal. This is what they do. They've had this type of people. Here are the H's. Here are their locations and whatnot. And this is the promotions that work the best. What can we do here? If we add some FOMO, if we add some fear of being left behind and stuff like that. And I'm like, craft, give me a strategy for this, And so what we did, and obviously it's a mix of like knowledge that you've gathered through your life and obviously with AI, which makes it super special, That's why I think like whatever you build could be unique because it's kind of like coming from you. And so I told them, I need you to actually increase your pricing, and we're gonna launch this campaign. We're gonna switch from images to videos. They didn't have any videos, so I just got their images and added some, like put them all together in a video. Added some classical music, piano, kind of like get that feeling of luxury, kind of like something expensive when you listen to it. Because I was trying to kind of like incentivize all of their emotions and feelings and sensations, because we know that 80% of the sales are because of emotions and feelings rather than logic. So if we tap into that and we use AI to tap into that, then you facilitate the sales process. But then on the back side of this thing, after we increase the prices, they were super nervous about it. We did it. And then I'm like, we're going to increase the prices, but hey, we're going to add a discount because we're nice, So we added a 20% discount. We launched this. I added some, I said like motion design. I also did some motion design with that, and kind of like make it move and kind of like capture people's attentions. And so then in the back end, we got chatbots there ready to respond and book, the calls and stuff. Responding, basic questions, and that's pretty much what we did. We added an entire, email system for them to, keep on contacting people. We called this the three, what do you call this? Like the red lights on the street. The three colors, green, yellow, and red, and then we categorize clients based on that, and then we send each of them into different, different strategies for, we call them lead nurturing. So pretty much I'd say we cover from like marketing to this entire sales process. And in the sorry, Marius, I think you want to ask something.
Yeah. So one thing which is me as an agency owner as well, but since you're like on the front talking to all those clients and probably having to handle a lot of objections, or like also bring dreams a little bit into real life. And I really think that a lot of people are interested in this. Are you, when you talk to those clients or potential leads, really always like selling the dream of AI, or is AI something you use as, hey, this is what we are using to make this go faster? Or are you saying we're going to implement AI for you? How are you framing AI into your business as a tool, as a workforce addition, as an accelerator, as what we're going to offer to you?
I guess the way I put it, it's literally it's the future. That's what I say. Like this is what's coming, and you either adapt or you die. Like literally, I always use the word hyper automation. So how can you compete with a company that's already using psychological, stuff onto their clients? But not only that, but they're also like creating different triggers and emotions and feelings in them. And then they have an entire sales team that's working day and night, creating quotes, proposals, sending emails, responding to chats, and doing all this stuff compared to someone that you message the company and they're like, yeah, hey, we'll get back to you in the next 72 hours. It's like, bro, I'm out. Like you don't even want to deal with that company. So that's what I tell my clients. It's like I just sit down and I'm like, bro, like listen, like I've been in these meetings where literally there's government people here, there are senators, people are talking about AI, and you're not even thinking about it. Like, what are you waiting for? And I mean, like, we know that the moment we're at now, it's the early majority, 30% of the market that it's just kind of like hopping into this wave. So we know that there's a lot of stuff that we have to teach them. And the thing I've noticed is with my clients, it actually takes me a little longer to close a deal. But something I've noticed and they've always mentioned, it's I love your branding. I really like your branding. I like your website. I like what you put out there. I like the robots you use for your branding. Because you obviously, and this is what I try to do with all my clients as well. It's like, how do I make you look futuristic, even if your industry is not futuristic? How do I set you apart from regular marketers or, people building logos or just building a logo from like AI, super easy, like how do I take this with an extra, how do we go the extra mile, I'd say. So yeah, I guess that's kind of the approach I have. And something I've always done, I mean, I've been in sales for like 9 years. It's honesty with people. Be super open to listen to what they want. And once you understand that, you can craft like an idea of a project that could work better for them, In the end, it's not the same solution for anybody. It's different. And you have to adapt to that. And it's tailored. That's something we were not able to offer. Now we do have it. So yeah.
That sounds awesome. Do you have their website or something to check out?
Yeah. Yeah.
And Jonathan.
Yeah.
Because I also know you're like into AI governance and AI ethics. Have you ever like put thought into, after like implementing an automation or like an hyper automation, as you say it, do you also help those companies, for example, to not just view it from a company perspective, hey, we just automate something. It's like also, how is this going to affect the employees who are now using it? I had like a very nice example where the boss actually didn't come to me, but somebody in the company said like, oh God, thank you. Finally, this is something, and now I can focus on something else again. I can do what my job was actually about. Have you had any experiences there?
Yeah. So actually, at Nawak, it's I told you guys earlier. I'm not sure if it was recorded, but they're part of the 2% of the best universities in the world. They're here in Mexico. They're a private institution, but they've had the presidents and like very high profile people studying there. And so with them, what I'm doing right now, and actually I was invited as a synodal. I'm not sure if that's a thing in English. But it's like a kind of like a judge for like people graduating from their final semester. And what they're doing, they're giving them real world problems and city problems and state problems, and they have to solve them through AI solutions. You could go from like make.com to large language models, whatever you want to use for that. And so basically the thing, and obviously because of my involvement with the National Alliance of AI, we have to be super committed into AI human-centric developments. Especially because we know the risks of like hyper automation that would represent getting people out of the labor force, and especially for countries like Mexico, where poverty levels are well above 60% of the total population. It's something we're not willing to risk, especially because of the dangers that come with that of having people not having a job, and obviously that it could increase like different levels of crime and stuff. However, the Mexican government is still working in a national UBI system that would be implemented. I think they're very far ahead, and most people don't actually look at Mexico, but they're already preparing for this, and definitely I think as one of the first AI automation agencies to be founded in Mexico. That's my main focus. Like, how much can we automate, and why should we stop here? And something I've actually found out, and it's very similar to what you said. Like AI, it's kind of like a brain without arms or legs, so you don't do anything. It's the same with automation, because like you can, if you have a human and an AI working together, you can really come up with with better results than just having an AI unsupervised, just doing stuff, or just a regular human. So yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you guys. I think we're coming up on our time on this podcast. But yeah, if you guys want to find out more about some of the AI solutions, be sure to reach out to us. There'll be some info to contact us in the comments, and we're happy to help you figure out some automation and AI solutions for your company, whether it's hardware, software, or video editing. Reach out between the three of us. We can put something together. And this is The Human Variable.